And thank you for joining us for today's presentation as part of the Industry Insight webinar series. The topic this time is the 4 pillars of smart practice management. Speaking today will be Erica Bursler of Cosmolex. The Industry Insight webinar series is hosted by the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center. To stay updated on upcoming webinars or view previous videos, visit ambar.org/industryinsight. Again, that's ambar.org/industryinsight. You can also stay updated on legal technology news through our blog, lawtechnologytoday.org. Erica Bursler is the product specialist and manager of customer support at Cosmolex. She is a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and 4 years of experience in the legal software industry, catering to the specialized technology needs of small to mid-sized law firms. Erica has given numerous presentations on legal technologies, such as law practice technology management, cloud computing, and legal billing and trust accounting compliance. The presentation today will be followed by a Q&A. Please enter your questions into the question box in the webinar panel that should be on the right side of your screen. All these questions will be addressed at the end of the presentation. We are also recording this webinar, and we will be sending the video in a follow-up email in a few days. We will also be posting the video on our blog, which again is www.lawtechnologytoday.org. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll now begin the webinar.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Rose. Again, my name is Erica Bursler, and we have a powerful presentation for you today. And one thing I can promise is that you will begin to look at your own law practice just a little bit differently by the end of our time together. So with that, let's get started. Now, this may not look or be what your office looks like, but I'll bet for many of you, some days this is how it feels. Today's presentation is about never feeling like this again, because your overall success has as much to do with how well you run your office as it does with how well you handle your client-specific legal matters. To keep things simple, we're going to show you how to focus on just 4 areas that can make or break law practice management. We call them the 4 pillars of smart practice management. And the good news is that you can easily get on top of each of these 4 crucial areas with the help of today's technologies. Our goal today is to learn basics of these 4 pillars as well as how they interdepend on one another. For demonstration purposes, I will be using our Cosmolex software. Cosmolex is a cloud-based legal practice management system which is specifically designed for small law firms. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Here are the 4 pillars of practice management: tasks and events, billing and collection, trust accounting, and document management. First, let's start with tasks and events. As a lawyer, you're not hired to perform tasks. You're hired to handle legal matters for your clients. That means that tasks and meetings never exist in isolation. They are steps in the progress of a legal matter. Linking each task and meeting with a specific legal matter is very important. Matter-linked tasks and meetings makes it easier to monitor that the requirements for compliance are being met, and also creates a solid paper trail in case you encounter a compliance inquiry or a complaint down the road. Even on a day-to-day basis, tagging by matter also makes it easier to look up appointments and tasks for review. Next is billing and collection. At the end of the day, we're all working so hard in order to get paid. And as we all know from every industry survey, law firms have more trouble with payments and collections than just about any other type of professional services business. Presenting invoices in a matter-based context adds a new level of clarity and structure that clients understand and appreciate. This results in a streamlined billing and payments, which of course leads to higher customer satisfaction. Third is trust accounting. Advance payments on client fees are a great cash flow boost for most law firms. However, it's critical to account for every penny of clients' funds in trust accounts. And in order to meet IOLTA guidelines and state regulations, a complete record of clean and accurate 3-way bank reconciliations is another essential for law firms that need to maintain their good standing. And lastly here is document management. Piles of paperwork and rows of filing cabinets are the hallmark of any law office. And while hard copies will not completely disappear anytime soon, Organizing the hundreds of small pieces of case information is much better left to computer software, which is designed for this purpose, especially when you want to retrieve your information quickly. Plus, with the latest encryption technology and frequent backups which work for you, your files are actually more secure stored electronically than in any filing cabinet on Earth. So now that we did a quick overview, let's look at each of these pillars in more detail. Your first pillar, as we discussed, is meetings and tasks. Along with that, we like to cover the 4 C's of meetings and task tracking. First is compliance. We just covered why tasks and events need to be linked as they're created to specific legal matters. This not only helps to keep you on track with fulfilling compliance mandates, it also helps you verify compliance when the need arises. Next is collaboration. Calendar events and tasks must also allow for sharing among the members of your team who are working on the same legal matter. This is especially important with so many people working virtually today. Third is collection. When it comes to invoicing, it's easy for small tasks and meetings to fall through the cracks. Meetings and tasks can and should flow automatically into your billing workflow. It's the most important first step to making sure you actually get paid for the work that you do. And lastly here is cloud access. Playing catch up at the end of the week or month is a recipe for disaster. And with everybody out of the office much of the time these days, desktop systems can't keep up with the pace of your practice. Cloud access, whether it's from a laptop, tablet, or smartphone, is the best way and the only way to make sure you keep everything up to date that needs to be. So when you look at all the 4 C's together, you see that meetings and tasks is a lot more than simply a calendar and to-do lists. Meetings and tasks all need to be connected and integrated from the get-go with your overall practice management system. And this will prevent all kinds of trouble later. Now, all of that sounds great, but let's be realistic here. What typically happens in a standard law office, especially with small law firms? Well, first, meetings and tasks are often kept outside the practice management software, on people's own personal calendars or to-do lists. This then makes coordination among team players very haphazard. Next, meetings and tasks are not tagged to specific matters when they're created, which of course makes it difficult to monitor the workflow and progress for any one matter. And lastly, meetings and tasks are not automatically integrated with the billing system. Small tasks and some meetings are then forgotten more often than we would like to admit. When meetings and tasks are kept on isolated, independent tools, things fall through the cracks. Deadlines are missed, ownership is uncertain, and billable hours get lost. So let me go ahead and show you an example of this in the Cosmolex program. Okay. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see it clearly. Okay. So we were talking about your meetings and your tasks. So if I go over here to my main calendar, you will see obviously I have a listing of all of my events, and if I were to add one, in addition to your standard meeting information, you can link this event specifically to a matter. So that way I can say that this is related specifically to, let's say, my Jim Collins case. I can also mark this as a billable item. So that way I know that this is something to be billed in the future. If I were to save this event, let me just give a name. You will see that I have 2 icons. The blue file folder means it's linked to a matter, and the green $ means it's a billable item. Again, keeping everything together and linked to the matter is very important. For my tasks, same goes for adding your task item. You can link it to a particular matter again, and you also can assign it to another user. This is what helps your collaboration. Both of these items you want to make sure you can access through your mobile app as well, which you can in the case of Cosmolex. Now let's talk about a productivity multiplier. What can take you to the next step in regards to your meeting and task tracking? This is with predefined workflows. Now, legal practice case types follow certain patterns, which can be broken down to a set of necessary tasks and milestones, which we call workflows. Workflows should drive the creation of your tasks. To be effective, good workflows should be the following. Automated. A predefined workflow can lay out a punch list of essential meetings and tasks. Modular. A predefined workflow can be set up, organized. The ownership is a good way to ensure compliance for your firm and your client's protection. With predefined workflows, nothing will slip through the cracks. So let me show you this concept in Cosmolex. Okay, I'm going to go to our setup section, which is where you can set up your workflows. Here I have an example of a real estate workflow, and you will see that I have a list of various tasks. So let's say you have a checklist for your real estate closing of all the tasks that need to be completed. I'm not only listing my tasks, but also the due date in relation to the other tasks. Perhaps I need to receive my signed contract 1 day after I meet with my client. I need to prepare my HUD statement 2 days after that. You can set up this workflow and then link this to a particular matter. So if I were to go to any certain matter here, I can then go to my task section and I can actually add my workflow. All right, and I have my list of tasks and their associated due dates. So not only is this a time saver, but it promotes consistency and accuracy when completing your tasks. Let's move on to Pillar 2, which is billing and collection. Better billing and collection helps you in two very important ways. One is to stay compliant, and the two keys to compliance with regards to billing are having accurate balances for each specific legal matter. You want to have real-time balances at the matter level, which is particularly important in flagging potential issues before they become serious. Time and expense tracking. Both of these are absolute essentials for auditors and regulators and extremely helpful in maintaining good client relations. Now, you also need to have your firm stay solvent. Two keys to staying solvent are, first, having accurate and timely billing. When invoices are accurate, clients have fewer questions. When your activities are billed promptly, clients remember the work. And when the clients receive clean, accurate invoices for recent work that they remember, of course you get paid more quickly. And last is efficient collection. Even with the best, most professional invoices, we all face the same prevailing attitude that unfortunately says pay lawyers and accountants last. Collection efforts need to be as spot on and automated as your invoices. In fact, they should be considered as a regular part of the billing process and just as easy to administer. So let's cover what actually happens in most small law firms. Maybe lost track of client funds and balances. The four balances that have significant effect on your billing, collection, and profitability are unpaid invoices, unbilled amounts, and advances you hold in your operating or trust accounts. These balances are so basic, so fundamental, but firms often lose track of those, and it becomes a chore to figure out those amounts. Client funds will need to be deposited to either the trust account or an operating funds account, depending on the rules in your jurisdiction and case type. Keep in mind that most disciplinary actions against law firms are related to retainer handling. It's essential to get this area set up correctly, kept current, and monitored closely. Unrecorded charges. The best way to record your time and effort is in the moment, in real time, as soon as it is completed. However, many firms are still bound to in-office systems, and like everything else in life, playing catch-up and relying on memory results in too many lost entries. Delayed billing. Even though everyone wants to get paid quickly, invoices out on time. Using a manual billing process, you're wasting a lot of time and risking many errors. And lastly here is weak collection efforts. The whole area of collections can be sensitive and is almost universally dreaded by everyone working in a personal service business. On top of this, many law firms let unpaid bills pile up and have no systematic process for dealing with collections. So really quickly, let me just show you two examples here. Okay, if I go back to my main screen, you will see, as I pointed out before, 4 very important balances: unpaid, unbilled, and retainers in operating and trust. At all times, I can select a particular matter and know those associated numbers. Also, you need to record your time and expense in real time as they occur. We have these buttons plainly accessible on the main screen here and also directly in your mobile app, so you can enter these items right away as they occur. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next item here. A productivity multiplier for billing and collections. Business you can think of uses some type of computer software to handle billing and collections. This is the norm, as has been for many, many years. However, you can take your game to the next level by leveraging some of these productivity multiplier benefits. Here we'll cover batch billing, batch collection notices, automated retainer reminders. These are all one-click procedures requiring little more than a quick review. So let me show you in the Cosmlex program how some of these are achieved. So if I go to my activity section and I'm going to take a look at my invoices. In this section, I can do several activities. I can generate all of my unbilled time and expense in one click. Here, I'll be able to see all of my matters that have unbilled time. In this case, I have 6, and I can generate all of those invoices at once. Also, you are able to email your invoices in one batch. So here, I can filter out whatever invoices I'd like, select those I'd wish to send, and I have the email address directly from the contact, and I can email out straight from here. Same goes for reminder notices. When you have overdue invoices and you need to contact your client to say, listen, I haven't received payment, we have an automation tool here called Email Reminders, in which the program itself will let you know who's overdue. Out of that whole list of clients and invoices, where do you need to focus? And in this case, I have 8. So I can select all of these here. I can click email, and we have a pre-generated template for the body of the email, which you can edit if you would like. And this body will populate with the custom information for each client with their overdue invoice attached. Having something this simple to get this collection process over and done with is essential. Also, low retainer reminders. If you practice the idea of evergreen retainers, which is making sure that you always have some funds in the retainer for your client, you would like to use the minimum retainer requirement, which means in our program, we allow you to set a low threshold. Let's say you have a particular client that once their retainer reaches $500 or lower, you want to notify them that they need to replenish. So you can set that threshold of $500, and when the retainer gets beneath that, they'll be added to this reminder list. And here again, you can send out an email notification letting them know that they need to replenish their retainer. All very quick, automated, one-click processes to get your collection, reminders, and billing taken care of. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Pillar 3. This is Trust Account Administration. Now, I think we all understand how important proper trust account administration is for law firms. It is absolutely critical to be current and compliant, and here's why. First, fiduciary responsibility. As a general rule, client trust accounts hold client funds or property, with the lawyer acting as a fiduciary to those funds. Ultimately, The lawyer himself or herself is fully responsible for the security and management of the client funds. Even if you turn the administration over to a CPA or bookkeeper, the burden of proof to show proper funds management rests squarely with your firm. State-specific requirements. There is no one set of rules that can be used by all law firms. Each state or enforcement division has its own set of guidelines. However, there are some general IOLTA guidelines available which you could be aware of. Consequences of non-compliance. I think we all understand what happens if we don't pass a trust account audit. The penalties are quite severe and can ruin a career or destroy a firm. On top of that, many jurisdictions have a random audit program, which means that all of your trust accounts must always be audit ready on any given day. So again, let's cover what often happens in a typical small law firm. Firms without a properly designed trust accounting software that is fully integrated with their billing and practice management system are forced to handle their trust bookkeeping in a different utility. Manual coordination and management of these isolated functions is the norm, which leads to redundant data entry, wasted time, and no real way to error-proof the entire. This leads to a situation where it's all too easy to see the following: commingling of client operating funds and trust account funds, overdrafts at the matter or ledger level, unearned funds that are not monitored, and sloppy or delayed bank reconciliations. And even when the oversight is clearly unintended, any one of these errors can be disastrous. Now let's discuss the integration aspect of trust accounting. We just learned how trust funds are an integral part of your practice, and as such, they need to be fully integrated with your overall practice management system. When trust accounting is integrated with billing, you'll enjoy the following: proper movement of funds or fees earned, retainer balances shown on your invoices, overdraft protection even at the matter level, and a perfect audit trail of clean three-way bank reconciliations, always up to date. Of the four pillars, trust accounting is the one where integrated approach is vitally important for the protection of your practice. So let's take a look at some of the benefits of integration in Cosmolex. Okay, so one thing I want to show you here is, as I mentioned, you have the balances on the main page. You have your unpaid balance, and you'll notice that in this case it is marked in green. That's because I have trust funds available to pay that balance. If you had these in two separate systems, it'd be much more difficult to identify this. So let me select a particular matter and also show you how invoices can be paid from advances in trust. Now, if you have everything separated out in two systems, there would be duplicate data entry in this case. So you want to be sure to have the option to debit from your trust retainer to pay that invoice in your billing program. So right here, if I want to debit trust, I would be taking money out of trust. So in this case, it would be $100. I'm deciding I'm going to cut it by check. A deposit record would go into the operating, and I'm going to pay this invoice. So all of this will occur at once, and all of my balances will update automatically. And you'll see that my unpaid is now zeroed out, and my trust retainer has reduced. All right, let's move on to Pillar 4. This is dealing with document management. Now, there's a common saying: doctors prescribe medications and lawyers produce documents. At the end of the day, every aspect of the practice of law ends up on a document, and the management of these documents is no easy task. Every document needs to be the following: factually accurate, completed and filed on time, and retained for future reference, in addition to retrieved as needed. Like the other pillars, document management is best accomplished when it can benefit from the comprehensive integration with the other pillars of practice management, and when you leverage the power of computers to do what they do best. Here are the 3 ways your practice management software can help. First, automated predefined workflows help you get documents completed and filed on time. I demonstrated the workflow feature earlier in the presentation, and with that you can set a task to file a particular document by a certain time. That again brings in the accountability and the accuracy. Also, matter-based records let you look at a document and instantly find the associated matter. And conversely, looking at a matter will show all the documents related to it. And last, electronic storage now meets all of your necessary criteria. It is unlimited, secure, and can be cross-indexed and synchronized to your own filing structure. So what actually happens? Perhaps more than any of the other pillars, document management tends to be all over the map. Much of it is still handled manually. Often the organizer at the firm creates a tagging system, but only they know how to create tags and locate documents. Storage is not centralized. Copies are everywhere. The document of record, or the original document, is not necessarily identifiable. Also, document workflow is often an ad hoc process, depending on who's working on what document. Ownership of any one specific document is frequently not clear. And yes, file folders are bulging and cabinet drawers are jammed full. We only have so much space in our offices. So now let me show you a peek at the documentation portion of Cosmolex, just to give you an idea of the matter-based record keeping. If I go to my activities level, here I have a documents tab. And of course we have separate folders for each and every matter. And you can of course view that matter right here and the associated documents. But what if I wanted a closer view? I just want what's related to that matter. Not only can I see it here, but I can go back to the specific matter, select whichever one I'd like, and I have a Documents tab here that will list only what's associated with this specific matter. So at any point, I will know a document and who it's associated to. Now, what helps this along is using third-party cloud-based storage. Utilities such as Dropbox.com or Box.com will keep your files secure and easy to retrieve. Document storage in the cloud is one of the big success stories of cloud technology. The third-party companies that provide storage now offer the features you need, along with unlimited capacity and robust security. By storing your documents in these apps, which are then fully integrated with practice management systems such as Cosmolex, you get the best of both worlds. First, you benefit from advanced set of security and functionality which are provided by today's business-grade document management systems. Why not go to the experts for the area that they specialize in? And you own and control your documents all the time and not your practice management software provider. Us at Cosmolex, we never have your documents. They're not stored with us, so you never have to be worrying about us having any access to those documents. Now, we've talked a lot about the need for coordination among the 4 pillars of practice management and the need for an integrated approach, and here's why. You'll never get where you need to be even if you perform each of these crucial tasks perfectly, but individually. Imagine a group of people driving a car. One works the gas pedal, another the brakes, a third the steering, and a fourth looks out the windshield to see what's ahead. Now that idea sounds pretty ridiculous, and yet that's how practice management works if you don't coordinate actions among these 4 areas. Now the key to the integration, a key that will drive an exponential increase in efficiency, accuracy, and ease of use for the entire practice management function at your firm. We believe that the best way to coordinate and integrate all 4 pillars is to focus on the legal matter itself. A center, as a wheel, a nucleus, whatever you wish to call it. All case information, all records, all meetings and tasks, all bookkeeping entries, and all billing line items should be associated with the appropriate matter. If you imagine these 4 areas as making up a wheel, as we're showing here, then MatterBased Organization is the axle that turns that wheel. When anyone looks at a matter, all information related to that matter should be easily accessible. This is our definition of effective cross-indexing for legal work. And with such a system in place, you will never again need to search in several places to piece all the data together. Now, here are just a few examples of the interdependencies we've been talking about. For example, calendared meetings and tasks should work with billing so that appointments and events automatically move into your billing workflow. That's the best way to be sure every billable activity lands on an invoice. Also, document management needs to be comprehensive, so you have everything from a form filed with the courthouse to a witness deposition to a signed retainer agreement at your fingertips. And of course, like we said, all the information should be linked to the matter itself, so that whenever you're questioned by a client about a bill, by a regulator conducting an audit, or through a malpractice action served against you, you can immediately produce a thorough paper trail of all events, appointments, hours, expenses, etc., which are associated with the specific matter to prove your competence. Now, today's cloud technology is a ready-made solution to the challenges of effective legal practice management. And that's because the cloud itself is built around dependability. Anytime, anywhere, any device, access, and disaster controls. Cloud applications run across the internet, the one network that essentially never goes down. Cloud applications are also convenient. They're always up and running, ready to help you to get work done whenever your schedule allows. And they run on any device, whichever one you have handy at the moment. Cloud applications are also safe. They run off multiple servers that are backed up every 4 hours and not just once a week. Cloud applications, when you think about it, handle most of consumer banking, all of the world's high finance, much of our commerce, and at the end of the day, cloud applications are more secure than your office. They're also more affordable, update themselves automatically, work on any device, whether it's a PC, Mac, tablet, or smartphone, and is just plain easier to use than an in-house network application. And that's what makes cloud perfect for small law firms. With a cloud application like Osmolex, your entire practice management function is always available, always backed up, always secured, and usable from any device. Even your bookkeeper or accountant can log in from wherever they may be. So I hope this presentation has given you a better appreciation of how state-of-the-art practice management is much more than an exercise in efficiency. It's about increasing revenues, accelerating cash flow, eliminating worries about compliance, and protecting your practice from data disasters and more. Well-designed systems like Cosmolex, using the latest cloud technology and MatterBased architecture that really fits the way lawyers work, now bring all of these benefits with the reach and budget of any size law firm.